Hello, sir.
Hello, Aditya.
Sir, we are seeing that increasingly political manifestos for elections are going to the welfare line, right? From the era of color televisions in 2006, now to refrigerators, and we might as well offer ACs in the next election, right? Can we actually, in the political system of India, draw a line in this?
Aditya, there are two ways of looking at it. The first is legal and constitutional. The second is fiscal and financial. Let's take the first one first. Ordinarily, it's not possible for an external agency, a court or election commission or somebody, to tell the political parties what to promise, what not to promise. That's a bond between the party and the electorate. And if it's an illegal thing, like for instance, I'll give you a bribe for election, of course they do give it, but if it's officially stated, it becomes a corrupt electoral practice under law, which of course we violate with impunity in our country. Now, how can an external agency decide what is the right promise, what is the wrong promise? You may not like a policy. For instance, if you want to, let's say, help farmers, is free power without any metering the right policy? I believe it's a bad policy. But farmers need help. We can debate the policy. I would argue if you indeed want to give some kind of a concession power, give concession, have metering, put a cap on that so that there is a conservation possible, there is an incentive to save power, incentive to save groundwater, etc. It's a policy issue. It can't be a legal issue. But there is a certain line where you're actually breaching, in my judgment, the constitutional norms. I'll give you an example. In 2006, in around the same time, 20 years ago, in Tamil Nadu, the then DMK in opposition, they offered color television to the voters. It's the first time that happened in the country. Tamil Nadu is a pioneer in all these new kinds of welfare mechanisms and goodies. Now, I wrote to the Election Commission in detail. I told them that, look, you cannot interfere in the political campaign, what promises they give. But that is within the bounds of the Constitution. Color TV is not a part of the constitutional function of the state. About free food, free power, free water, free something, you may question the policy, but you cannot say government has no obligation to help the people. But watching color TV is not part of the government's obligations, making people watch color TV. And I further told them, if you now accept this, the logical conclusion is one party tomorrow will say, which are poor people are drinking and they're spending a lot of money, I will give 5 bottles of liquor free of cost to every family every month. How is that wrong in principle? So there is a line which is being breached. And that line is it part of the constitutional responsibility of the government or not? If it is not, then that promise cannot be made. It's a corrupt electoral practice. The commission then was headed by Mr. B.B. Tand. The other commissioners were Mr. Gopalaswamy and Mr. Naveen Chawla. Sadly, the commission did not have the courage. They gave me a wishy-washy reply. They did not ignore it because when it came from a credible source, and with detailing, they could not simply dismiss it. But they gave me a 2-page reply saying that wishy-washy, yes, but kind of thing. Finally, basically had washed their hands off. Somebody took the matter to Supreme Court. Supreme Court again gave a wishy-washy judgment in my view. Instead of recognizing that there is a constitutional line breached, this is not just another electoral promise. This is a promise which is outside the bounds of the government's functioning. They said, let Election Commission have an all-party meeting and decide the norms and then code of conduct about the promises to be made and enforce them. And the Commission, to the best of my knowledge, never did that. So an opportunity was lost. Today, refrigerator is an extension of your color TV in the same state, except there's another party which is doing it. And therefore, my belief is unless this constitutional line is clearly understood, a nuanced but very clear demarcation is there, and it's widely made known to all political parties and the voters and the media, and unless it's enforced fairly, equitably, uniformly, there is no legal way out of this. What is the fiscal way then? Because nobody from Delhi, either a court or the commission or somebody, nobody can tell the states or the parties in the states what to offer, what not to offer. It's none of our business. But you can certainly draw a line fiscally because the constitution makers made a provision. They said if the state borrows money from any source, then it must take the prior consent of the government of India under Article 293. Because the idea is, India is fiscally an indivisible whole. The fiscal responsibility and financial stability of India and the credit of India, they are the responsibilities of the union government under the constitution. In keeping with that, they gave the union government this responsibility of deciding when to approve the loan, and while approving the loan, to impose such conditions as they deem fit in order to preserve the fiscal health of the country and the state. The government of India is not doing this job as well as they should. They must do it well. For instance, a simple rule is not telling the state what to do, what not to do, but what is called golden rule by the economists. That rule simply says this: like any family, a good family, you cannot borrow money for today's consumption expenditure, for current expenditure, because if you borrow money, the burden is falling on the next generation, your children. Unless you create assets for them and enhance their earning capacity, you're burdening them with a debt which they cannot discharge, and we are simply eating into their future. If that principle is accepted, and if we tell all the states, you cannot borrow for current expenditure, same principle applied to union government, and make it enforceable by an independent mechanism.
Sure.
Once the rule is made, the actual operation of it depends on the circumstances of each state. Let us say the Comptroller Auditor General, CAG institution, because they have all the data, let them collect the current data, and let them say, yes, this is borrowed money, therefore you cannot really use this money for current expenditure, therefore this loan is not allowed. Or this borrowed money is going for capital investment with adequate rate of return on investment, it is building a future, therefore this loan is okay. That's a perfectly legitimate thing. Some such thing must be attempted, and unless the political system comes to its senses and builds a consensus, each one will blame the other. State after state, if you notice, even the parties and leaders who initially refrained from excessive welfarism at the cost of the exchequer, they felt compelled to yield to the expectation that you'll give something free during elections. And in order for them to be electorally viable, they're doing that. You have seen in Bihar recently, money was distributed freely. You have seen the kinds of offers in Tamil Nadu by the government today and by the opposition today. You have seen Andhra Pradesh, Telangana are champions in this. You have seen Mr. Jagan Mohan Reddy, how massive welfare programs are rolled out for electoral gain, and how Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, after taking or assuming office, has further upped it to a level where it's no longer sustainable. The state is on the verge of bankruptcy. You've seen a very rich state like Telangana. When it was formed, Telangana was the richest state in the country with the highest surplus, revenue surplus. Today, Telangana is struggling to pay salaries, and profligacy has become the norm. Karnataka is fiscally a very healthy state, but Congress came to power with all kinds of guarantees, and the state is finding it difficult to manage the finances. So we are driving the states to bankruptcy, and we have to come to senses without political interference, without partisanship, without curtailing the freedom of the parties and the governments in the states.
Yes. So on that note, I really want to understand this, because political parties keep on coming up with new schemes and all of that. How do you have mentioned finance bit of it and the constitutional bit of it, but how do you design a good welfare scheme?
It's a great question. Welfare is necessary. First, let us be clear about that. Because A, we have to carry every segment of our society in a democratic polity. B, the people who are in distress needs a help,
Yes.
a helping hand. Therefore, treating all welfare as bad is a foolish idea. But there must be three basic rules of welfare in my judgment. First is, you cannot borrow in order to promote today's consumption in the form of welfare without building assets for the future, because you're killing the future. It is affecting intergenerational equity. No good parent robs from the children. You save money, you build assets, and you create income sources for the children. That is our culture. Our governments cannot behave antithetical to our culture. The second is, your welfare must not be distortionary of the markets. Let me give you a couple of examples. Let's take rice, free rice. Mr. N.T. Ramarao started 2 rupees a kilogram rice. People were in distress. They appreciated subsidized rice and it helped them. There's no doubt about it. But see the long-term consequences. Rice is not a nutritionally very good crop. The millets, which the dryland areas are quite used to, they were normally preferred by the poorer people.
Okay.
But rice is what is called Giffen good, economists call it. It has no greater value, but in the psychological makeup of the human beings, rice is supposed to be superior. Giffen goods they are called. So people switch to rice because it is cheap. Now millets have made a comeback for the rich people, for the fashionable people, high-end restaurants, because millets are nutritionally more healthy. And eating excessive rice is mainly creating diabetogenic. It increases the blood sugar levels, ultimately depletes the insulin levels, exhausts insulin levels, and they become diabetic. So see what happened as a consequence. Well-meaning though it is. Take another example. Take your procurement of rice or wheat. Now, at a stage when India was very seriously deficient in food grains, we're importing lots of food grains from America under PL 480, Public Law 480 program. It was understandable that you promoted these things, and as part of that, you came up with a procurement program. Now, we committed 2 mistakes. The procurement price now is above market price.
Cool.
The idea of procurement is it's a floor. It's not supposed to be a ceiling. Now, for whatever reason, we increased it because of public pressure, and now almost always it's above the market price. Therefore, you created an incentive, a perverse incentive when there's no market demand for rice. We are overproducing. India is now holding the largest storehouse of food grains with the government at any point of time in the whole world. About 80 million tons are stored in government granaries alone. And that is about 50% more than the total production of food grains in India in 1950. Overproducing. Every new bit of irrigated land, they're going for paddy.
Yes.
Which nobody eats. Government is forced to buy at the cost of the exchequer.
Yeah.
And you're feeding it to the pigs or something else. This is just not right. It is market distortion. Electricity, I mentioned earlier. Power subsidy. You can give some concession. But supposing you actually say there is no metering, there is no ceiling, any amount of power you get free, what happens? First of all, I have no incentive to save power. We all know in these days of energy scarcity and the war in the Middle East how important it is to conserve energy. Second, the groundwater is depleted because I recklessly use it. Third, the motors are inefficient because I don't care. I don't need efficient motors. I want the cheapest motor. The manufacturer wants to sell whatever is available. He's not bothered about improving efficiency. Ecologically, environmentally, economically, in every which way, it's bad. It's highly distortionary. Take another example, loan waiver, a very favorite pastime. Now, loan waiver actually kills credit. It kills future investment. And it kills also the consumer's behavior. It distorts the consumer behavior. Even the people who repay on time, they think that they have been fooled. I repaid on time, somebody else did not repay, he got the money, I didn't get it. Why should I repay? So we're killing a whole cycle of trust and credit cycle in the country. And credit ultimately dries up and farm sector does not get better. So it must not be market distortionary. The third is, it must enhance the capacity and incomes ultimately. Not merely one time, but your capacity to earn your productivity, per acre productivity, or as an individual human beings like healthcare enhances productivity. It must enhance your earning capacity and your productivity. If these 3 rules are followed systematically, there's a lot of need to help the people in distress. Like for instance, training for skills,
Yes.
for employment. Now, provided it's done well, you are becoming, an earning member, a person with the capacity. Mudra loans properly disbursed, small loans, they are forced to borrow at very highly usurious interest rates. For want of a small amount of money, they are not able to upgrade their skills or the productivity or production. So, supposing a lakh or two given a concessional loan helps them, by all means we should, provided it's done honestly. So there are areas where welfare helps actually, help them come out of poverty. The areas where You simply consume today, your life is no better tomorrow. In perpetuity, consumption keeps on going up without eliminating poverty or enhancing incomes. So you have to have a very fine judgment. But these three basic principles, is it sustainable? Are you eating into the future? Is it market distortionary? Is it enhancing the capacity and helping them come out of poverty in the long term? These are three questions which ask ourselves.
Thank you so much, sir.